Hey, I'm back again. This is video 2 of a multi-part series on how to examine the New York Times 2020 Pennsylvania election data via Firefox and Power BI. We covered Firefox in the previous video because Firefox gives you an easy way to quickly scan through the hierarchical data to find where the information that you're interested in is located. That's going to be useful when we go to use Power BI to extract the data. You can get additional information on how to find out how to do that through Helen Wall and Chris Dutton and Jeannie Von Courtier, with Helen Wall being probably the most relevant to this particular topic. But right now we're going to go see if we can find where do you get Power BI, and the easiest way to get it is for most people is the Microsoft Store. When you go to the Microsoft Store and search for Power BI, you will see the two versions, Power BI Desktop and Power BI. And this, when it says Power BI, it means the mobile version, and that's not going to be particularly useful for what we're doing here. The desktop version has a lot more features. You could use the mobile version for verification purposes of layout, but I wouldn't use it for doing any kind of notable analysis. I would just use it for checking, reports on the go. So if you click on that, then you should be able to get, if you get it from here, you should be able to get automatic updates, which are very useful. I think Microsoft puts out automatic updates quarterly. I hope I got that right. They put them out quite frequently because Microsoft's got a lot of investment into this Power BI and their artificial intelligence and just business analytics space and cloud computing. They seem to be, I guess, making a lot of money in those areas right now, and I think they're helping a lot of people, making it real easy for CEOs, high-level business executives, and even end users to make the kinds of decisions they need without having to do a whole lot of programming. But if you get it from here, you're going to get automatic updates. So I would recommend getting it from the Microsoft Store. Some people may not be able to get it from the Microsoft Store due to organizational policy, so you can actually go to their website, do a Bing search, and you can find here under advanced download options. Don't use download because it'll just send you right back to the store. But if you go to advanced download options, there you will be taken to a place where you can download it without having to actually log into the Microsoft Store. So that's convenient. But if you do it this way, you may not get automatic updates. This is the way I used to have to install it in my environment. But now I can just use the Microsoft Store in many cases. So where do you get, now we've covered where to get Power BI. So we're going to go ahead and start it. And then we're going to go ahead and see if we can't import the JSON data that New York Times provided. Remember that data came from, I found out about that data when I was visiting a site called the Burning Platform. I am not going to attempt to verify the accuracy of his information at this time. I don't know whether what he's claiming is correct or not, but he seems to be supporting conservative beliefs. That there was some anomalies in the Pennsylvania voting data. I would rather leave that to you to decide. It is very easy to get data analysis incorrect, and I'm not necessarily an expert in this field, and I would rather people with a lot of skill, a lot of time, and the appropriate verification processes be able to do that. I'm just going to show you how to use this tool, and you can make your own conclusions. So we go to get data, and it's going to give us several different options. Excel, CSV. You can even get it directly from a SQL server, which is pretty cool. You can use something called direct query. I have no idea why this is taking so, oh, there it goes. And so what we're going to need is JSON because the New York Times data is in JSON. So we're going to click connect. And then once we do that, we're going to look at Pennsylvania. Microsoft happens to know where I stuck it last. You can get it from those sources I showed you earlier. And I may archive this data at some point later on down the road, but I haven't done it yet. So you click on Pennsylvania and click open. Now that JSON, that's really only good for static files. It's not great for connecting. I don't think it works for connecting to a website yet. For that, I think there's like a web connector, and you can use that. Okay, but now so you would have to download the JSON data first, like I just did, and then import it. We're looking at, I think this is the Power Query edit. Yeah, it says Power Query Editor up here. Isn't that cool? We're in the Power Query Editor, and Chris Dutton and Helen Wall can explain more about this to you. But here they will show you that you can go into these records by clicking on any one of them. So we need to drill into the data record per the Firefox video, the last Firefox video. The information we want is in record. And now we need to go into races. We can drill into that by clicking there. And under there's a list. We'll drill into the record. And down at the bottom, if you remember correctly, if you watched the last video, there's a time series. You click on that list, and then you'll see, well, if you scroll all the way down, you'll see about 705 records, which is good news because we want a lot. We want kind of a row or a series of data. So this kind of helps us know that we're in the right place. Now, I don't know why you have to do this, but Helen Wall and Chris Dutton will probably explain to you that you have to click on to table at this point in order to start extracting this data. So now we're going to click OK, and it's to a table. Now, the next thing they would show you, now they didn't actually use this particular data set like I am, but the next thing they'll show you is you can do something called add column, or I'm sorry, transform. And under transform, you can click on expand, because this record is not very useful, and you're going to have a tendency to just click inside there and go in there. That's not going to get you anywhere. I did that several times out of confusion until I watched Helen Wall and Chris Dutton's materials, and then at that point I realized that you click expand. So if you click expand, it shows you all the different the values that we need. In our cases, we need vote shares, votes. We probably don't need EEVP, and we're probably not going to use EEVP source. So we're going to uncheck those. And now we're going to go ahead and click. Do we need a column prefix? Well, no, we actually don't. We're going to delete that. And we're going to click OK. And blam, we got vote shares, votes, and timestamp. Unfortunately, we have another record. Well, we really don't want that either, so we're going to click expand. We want to see what's in there also, so we're going to click expand again. And then we see, oh, wait a minute, I did something wrong. I missed something. Let's see if we can back up. Expanded column. Helen Wall and Chris Dutton will also explain to you that you can back out of your steps sometimes by clicking these red X's, and then you'll go backwards. Okay, we went back. Now I did something wrong, and what we're going to do is we're going to click expand again because I missed something somewhere. I think I needed vote shares, votes. I don't know. I'm just going to select everything at this point, and I'm not going to even click to delete the column prefix. Now you see that we have this annoying column in front of everything. And we see votes and then shares. And we don't need these two. Right? I don't know. I think I got confused. But the point is, if you need a backup, you can go over here and click on one of these buttons. And now we need to expand this record. So we're clicking on this column and we'll click expand again. And we get Trump and Biden. We click OK. Right. Now, as you can look at those other tutorials that I mentioned, you can rename the column by double-clicking on it and then typing in whatever. In our case, we're going to say Trump shares. And over here on Biden, we're going to rename this Biden shares. It's probably good that I actually made that mistake, even though it seems like I'm rambling, and I am to some extent. It allowed you to see how to back up. And then under votes, we'll say total votes, because this is the total amount of votes. We kind of discussed this briefly in the Firefox exploration of the data. EEVP, we don't need this, so now we're going to remove it. EEVP source, this looks like, I think this is the same thing all the way down. We're going to remove that. Now, the other thing we want to do is we want to change these to their actual data types. That makes it easier to process the data in Power BI. Particularly, this is not alphanumeric ABC 1, 2, 3. This is a date. And if we change this, I'm sorry for that burp. That was a sound effect. Yeah, I can moo like a cow too. You probably don't want to hear that. So if I click date time, let's see. Now we got. I used to do sound effects for my kids when reading to my kids. We got that as a date time, and now when we look at that inside Power BI, hopefully it will sort for us correctly and give us some additional functionality than if we would have just left it as alphanumeric. Now we're going to rename that to timestamp. And notice how it got rid of the Zulu date, which was kind of annoying. We didn't want that. I don't really like looking at stuff in UTC time particularly. So I'm not sure where this is local, what time this time is local to. That's a little confusing, but it's not going to be all that critically important for what we're doing, whether it's what time zone we're in. So now we've got this is a decimal number, and so is Biden shares. And total votes is always going to be a whole number, so we'll click that. All right? Okay. Now we don't have all the things we need. What we really want to see is the individual votes for Trump and the individual votes for Biden. And actually, probably we might want, yeah, I should have moved timestamp over here. Sorry about that. And secondly, we want to sort ascending. Yeah. Yep. That'll allow us to see, if we scroll down to the end, all the way to, you can't do control end. You have to do page down. We'll see the total votes, which is about 7 million. That's good news. That's what we want. So we need to add another column here. We could do this with a DAX or a calculated column when we get into Power BI later, but that's going to require some specific knowledge that's really a pain to learn. You can go through those other sources I mentioned, and they'll help teach you to learn DAX and how to do calculated columns and measures. But this is way easier to fix it here. This is such a small data set that we might as well just do it in Power Query M and get it over with. And we don't have to write any Power Query M. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Add Column. And again, those sources I mentioned by Dutton and Wall will help you with this. If you need extra information, we're going to go to Custom Column. And we're going to say Trump votes. Trump votes. All right. And then down here, we see all the columns we can pick from. And what we want is we want the total votes, and we don't want to multiply that by with an asterisk, the time symbol. We want to multiply that by Trump shares. And we click OK. And now we have Trump votes at that particular time. And of course, it's a, this is for our purposes, we can just simply make this a whole number. We don't really care about this extra stuff. It's meaningless. And there's going to be a little bit of error here, but it's not enough to make any difference in the results. So we're going to change this to a whole number. And that went to 33 and 4, which is good. That's what we want. Now, if we do this again, we're going to need another custom column, and you guessed it, Biden votes. So we go over here, and we go Biden votes. And then under Biden votes, we do, what is it? Total votes multiplied by Biden shares. Okay. And there we get that. Now, here we still want a whole number. So if we change this to a whole number, we expect this to change to 44 and that to 7, or somewhere close around there. Okay, and that 51563, let's go ahead and put that in Notepad so we don't get it wrong. I mean, I don't have the best memory. So we want 44, 7, 5, 1, 5, 6, 3, just to make sure we're not messing up the data or anything. Okay. So we're going to go over here and we're going to change this to a whole number. And what do we get back? Did it come up right? 44, 7, 5, 1, 5, 6, 3. So we did not mess anything up, or I didn't mess anything up in that transition process. So we don't need that anymore. Now let's go back to the end. And well, what we can see here is these numbers should grow generally over time. There's going to be a few anomalies, but they're not anything to get excited about. Like, see, there's one right there. I don't know what that was about. A row with all zeros. Who knows? Not a big deal. It doesn't make any difference in the grand scheme of things. If you go all the way to the end, there we go. At the end, apparently Biden had probably more votes than Trump, or that's the way it seems. I don't know why, but that's just what it seems to imply. I would like to think that Trump had more votes, but we don't always get our way. So we'll look, and if we see anything weird later on, we'll point it out. But I don't know anything weird right now. And here's the cool thing. This is the original New York Times data. This is what's the most important, really, is these shares, because really that indicates who's winning. The person with the higher shares number is actually who's winning. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I wanted to do this to show you how to get the actual votes. So now what we want to do here, we don't want the total votes, period. What we would like to see is the votes between each sampling interval, like the votes between 7:15:31 and 7:15:35. To do that, we have to do a little kind of a trick, and that's shown over here. It's on the references somewhere. I had a references page. I'm not sure who exactly wrote this, but it seems to come from some place called Excel Town. What we're going to do is we're going to take these, we're going to take the Trump votes and Biden votes, and we're going to shift them down one column. We're going to duplicate everything here and shift it down just one row. And then when we get it shifted down one row, we're going to subtract the shifted row from the current row. That's way easier than having to write the DAX to do this. Now, it may not be perfect, it may not be exact, but we don't really care about perfection and exactness right now. All we really care about is we want to get in here and we want to make general observations about what's going on and see if we can find something unique or useful or cool. And I don't know if we're going to find that, but that's where we're headed. I actually did look at this data a little bit on my own before going to this point, but I backed off a bit and I decided to come back here and explain this as I was going along. And it does tend to lead to me rambling a bit, which is disappointing, but that's just the way I planned on doing this. So we're going to use this technique here. And the first technique, and this is really cool because it uses some Power Query M code and it shows you how to duplicate the column. This is probably the easiest, well, it would be the easiest way, but I actually tried this. I tried changing that animal column to Trump votes or Biden votes, and I kept getting an error. So it didn't work for me for whatever reason. So I had to go to this next method. And it says value from previous row without writing M code. So this is a no code option, which is really cool. I mean, that's not much code at all. You could paste that in there, but it didn't work. It didn't work for me. I didn't have time to figure it out what was wrong with it, so I tried this other option. And the first thing it asks you to do here is that you need to create an index. So you create an index column. So we're going to go back over here and we're going to create an index column. We're going to need 2 columns. Right here, index column. We're going to add an index column. The first one's going to be from 0 based, and the second one's going to be 1 based. If you look at that article that I mentioned, it says that the indexes have to be offset, because what we're going to do later on from that article is we're going to rejoin this table onto itself. And when we rejoin the table onto itself, it's going to shift the rows. Really cool trick. So we're going to click from 0, and now we have an index from 0, and it's already a whole number. Now we need another index column from 1. Now you see how this is shifted a little bit. All these are shifted a bit. So the next thing we do is that article over there is said that we needed to merge the table onto itself. Okay? And it shows you a little picture of how to do that somewhere. I don't know. That's a comment from a user. I don't know where, but it shows you a picture of how to do this merge of onto itself. So we're going to go to transform, I think it is. I think that's where the merge is. Oh my goodness, I may have to cut right here and come back. Home. Choose column, merge queries, probably this. Merge queries, merge queries, I hope it's this. Okay, now we're going to merge Pennsylvania data onto, you guessed it, Pennsylvania data. But here's the thing, we need to pick the indexes. We're going to pick the index here and the index here. The indexes are different. This one is a 0-based index. This is a 1-based index. And we're going to use a left outer query. And it says it's going to match 704 or 705 rows. I don't know if that's technically exactly what we want. I would think that we would want to match 705 rows or have 705 rows at the end. But of course, well, we're not going to be able to match all the rows because we don't have a 0th index on this new table. And we don't have on the other one, there's like a index number 750, and this one it ends at 749. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and click OK and see what happens. We're going to get duplicates of the data. Boom. We got duplicates of the data. And added index 1, it created a table. What happened here? I don't know why it said added index 1. Anyways, we got this table over here, and we're going to click on this column, and I think what we need to do is go back to transform and expand. What happens when you expand? Oh, goody. Here's a goody, yeah, right. So here's what we need. We need to know there's only 2 things we need. We need Trump votes and Biden votes, because those are the 2 columns that we're really gonna compare. I guess we could have done. Well, we could go about this and use total votes. We could use the difference. We're gonna do that way. We're gonna get rid of all the. Oh my goodness. Oh. Crash. Okay, sorry. The computer crashed on me because I didn't have enough space on my C drive. So where I left off was we were going to expand this table. So you click on this column and you click on expand. And in this particular case, we could go about this 2 ways. We could either take the Trump votes and the Biden votes, or we can duplicate the total votes. If we duplicate the Trump votes and the Biden votes, then we don't have to redo that calculation again. if we take the total votes, then we can diff the total votes, and then we can do another calculation to compute the instant Trump and Biden votes. My my instinct would be to go with the votes at the to go with the actually no, at this point I don't think we should. I think at this point we should go ahead and go with the you may find error in this, but I think we should go ahead and duplicate the Trump votes and the Biden votes in just those columns, because I'm afraid if we go the other way around, I'm going to wind up goofing something up. I'm not sure of the specifics of what would go wrong, but it seemed like something wasn't quite right with that. So we're going to just duplicate these columns and click OK. And there we go. Now, what we should see is this column for Trump votes is shifted down. And it would be easier if we dragged this over here where we could see it. And Biden votes. Okay, see, everything goes down one element, and everything goes down one element for Biden votes. Now this makes the difference calculation easy, but before we do that, we're going to make an annotation here, and we're going to change that to Trump votes shifted. And we're going to change this to Biden votes shifted. There we go. Now, all we have to do at this point is we want the votes current, or the votes at any particular time. And this may not be perfectly 100% precise, but it's going to be pretty close to the votes at that time. It may be this one or that one, I don't know. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to subtract this from the previous. This is the later value from the previous value. So this value should be something's not right here. 33. That's backwards. We want to subtract the larger value from the smaller value. Right here. Okay. So we're going to create a new column. Right, because here's null. All right. Anyways, add column. And we go to conditional column. Whoops, not conditional column. We go to custom column. Good grief. That computer crash really threw me off. So we're going to call this Trump current, for lack of a better term. And so what we're going to do is we want to do Trump votes minus Trump shifted is what we want. The larger value minus the smaller value. Trump votes minus Trump shifted. And click OK. And these should be, in the most part, positive values. And you're seeing some weirdness here. And that's not really my bad. That's just the data. It's just kind of whacked up as far as I know. See, because 0 minus 33 really is negative 33. But in general, these values, see, this should have never happened right here. We shouldn't have gone from 33 votes to 0 votes, from 4 votes to 0 votes. But I think these rows actually should be eliminated, to be honest. These 0 vote rows, they don't really have any business being in there. But we're not going to go there right now, because we've already vested by doing this. If we had used DAX, it'd probably recalculate itself based upon us deleting these rows if we were to delete them. But we did not use DAX, we used Power Query M, and I'm not sure Power Query M is capable of those dynamic calculations. By the way, DAX can get very ugly at times. So, you really don't want to get too deep in it unless it's just intuitive for you. I've seen situations where DAX just would totally like blow my mind, and I'd have to go get help on a Power Query form on the Power Query. The Power BI forums with the DAX. You can also get help in some Excel forums on DAX because, as I mentioned, I don't think I mentioned this, but Excel and later versions of Excel and Power BI have a lot in common, particularly if you use Power Query M and data analysis extensions or DAX with Excel. So now we need to do the Biden current. So we're going to go ahead and add another column, or custom column. We're going to call it Biden current, and that should be the last thing that we're going to need for this video. Biden current. Biden current. What's a Biden current? I don't know. Hopefully it's a good thing, right? Anyway, I'm trying to be optimistic here. I have a conservative belief system, and I would have preferred an evangelical to have been elected, and we still don't know the election results as of yet, but well, most people say they know, but I'm still holding out. So you can forgive me for hoping for the ideal situation, in my opinion, but let's move on. This is Biden current. It's a Biden movement, right? Okay. Biden current is, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Biden current is Biden votes minus Biden shifted. Biden votes minus Biden shifted. I certainly wish that we could have somebody, I certainly hope for a president that will honor the Lord Jesus and help lead our country in a good direction and help protect religious freedoms, even if some religions might deviate or not necessarily agree with my strict evangelical beliefs. We need to be respectful of those that have different opinions. So let's see, Biden votes minus Biden shifted, and click OK. And there we got Biden current. So we're going to move that over there by Biden shifted. And by Trump currents, we don't want that. We want Trump current by we probably want Trump current by Trump votes. And then Biden current by Biden votes. And then we're going to look each of these times. I don't know if this works exactly, and that's what's kind of got me a little bothered. But this should be the difference. Watch me be dumb. I hope this doesn't happen to me, but let's see. Biden votes at 451,892 plus 78. Yeah, it looks like it works. Oh, goodness gracious, I can't get up there. Come on, man. 88, no, right here. We're going to take 451,970, and then we're going to add 78 to it and see what we get. 4520. Oh my goodness. That doesn't look right. Why is this happening? 452048. What if we added 188? Let's see. 4519. Actually, let's just do this. 452158 minus 451970. 188. Good. Thank goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, about to have a heart attack over here. So basically, if you, because I've been messing up a lot. 654,285 minus 458,544. This row minus that row should equal that value right there. Okay. That just tells you the difference between each one of these rows. That's all it is. And we should be able to do the same thing for Trump. We go over here and we subtract Trump votes 294,1 90 minus 251090. Should get 4317100. So the calculation of the difference in votes between each of the different timestamps is correct. Okay, and that's what we're going to use for comparisons later when we go in to create Power BI visualizations. So that right there, one last thing. This is alphanumeric. I'm back. The computer crashed again. I'm definitely a rookie at this creating what is it? Videos or instructional videos. Anyway, I was just about done. And the last thing that we really needed to do was we needed to change the data type of this Trump current to a whole number. It's not alphanumeric. And then we need to change the data type of Biden current to a whole number. Because it's not. What on earth? And now I'm having other problems, so I'm using the down arrow to a whole number because it's not alphanumeric. So we changed two data types. I don't know why there's only one that I can see. That's really weird. So we got Trump current and Biden current. And so that shows the trends of the votes as we go down in time. See, at one time, right there, Biden's leading. And it's right here, see, Trump made a comeback. Right here, he did too. Now, the total votes, he's still behind. He's still behind there, but if you when we graph this in Power BI, it'll be more useful for us to see what's going on. And then when we go all the way to the end, come on now, seriously, and page down. All the way to the end. Current one. See, there's a weirdness right there. That doesn't make no sense. See, there's less votes on the last sampling period, which was a timestamp of 25th at 3:49. Some of this is a little weird because it's was in Zulu time, and when we converted it over to local time, things got off a little bit. But that's why I'm making this video, because, you know, as you see me make mistakes, you can go back in and try this yourself, because everything I'm showing you here is reasonably intuitive. It's not if you're exploring this on your own, but once you see how to do it through watching Helen Wall or Chris Dutton or Jeannie Von Courtier, you will then be able to make your own observations in Power BI. So, see here, only got this towards the end. We only get small amounts of votes coming in, but then, and here are the totals. The totals aren't changing much at all, but that pretty much sums up everything we need. We don't really need those indexes, but we're just going to leave them in there. And so at that point, we would go to File, Enclose and Apply. I didn't mean for Cubase to come up. There's something wrong with my WDM drivers also. It's a totally different matter. What on earth? Oh yeah, now it's loading the data in. And then, so then we're brought to the visualization section. And this is where we can begin to apply the visualizations. I'm not going to cover that in this particular video. I'm going to cover that in the final video. And that's where we're going to go ahead and start about, we'll probably use a line chart. So that's all for now. And I hope you can watch the next video, because that's where it starts getting fun and interesting. And I'm going to go ahead and archive this project somewhere, probably on www.utilars.com somewhere. But I don't have that information available right now because I haven't archived it yet. So I'm going to go ahead and save this somewhere. Save it in downloads. Why not? You get to see all the garbage in my downloads folder. That's just brilliant of me. We'll go ahead and save this. What are we going to call this? 2020 Pres Power BI. Should probably stick this out on GitHub. I'll click save. Hopefully I won't get censored. Do you think Microsoft will kick me off of GitHub for putting this on GitHub? I guess we'll just have to see. Catch you later.